it's like he's been studying for a very long time, and he's delivered how we look at ourselves. We often put a mirror and we see the devil. It's just that the message was lost in translation. This is the best I've heard Skepta, in my honest opinion. On this edition of Celly Reviews, it's going to be more of albums I wished I reviewed, albums that I liked, that you know, I heard and I was like, yes, I like this album. Albums I didn't like too much, and also albums I just didn't bother listening to. I'll also be reviewing the album I'll be reviewing next for the start of July to kick things off. Yeah, so May was such a busy month. I mean, a total of 23 albums that has been released. One might wonder why such a high number for a lot of albums, and I don't think the new generation nowadays will be wondering this, like, because it might be seem normal to them. It might be the new normal to them, but for someone that was born in the 90s who really music wasn't really pushed out in such a great number. I mean, even though I got into music very late, like 2005. That's when I pretty much started listening to music. I was aware in terms of, I looked at it wasn't in the rate that music is being released now, albums being released now, pushed out now. It's quite, to me, it's kind of worrying. It's kind of destroying the art, in my opinion. It's kind of like there's so much noise going around that you really have to dig deep now to find an album. I mean, back then you used to have, when I say you, I sound old when I say this as well, but you had 2 to 3 releases in a month, like probably 4 if you're lucky. I think the biggest month that they had a big release would be, I think that was in 1993, I believe. That was a year that I think saw 7 releases in May, I believe. I'm not too sure. This number, that in 1991 to 1994, they had 25 releases, which is obviously more than this month. But the key figure is this was in a 4-year time span. So if you have a 4-year time span and you only had 25 releases, and they're able to release this much in a month, I don't even want to compare 2015 to 2019, because that figure you might reach 100 albums. I haven't done it. I haven't done the workout, but it's just interesting how back in the 90s, the album increased by year, obviously, because in 1995 and 1999 it was 33 in the end. 2000 is when we start seeing more individual releases in a month. That was 13. Obviously, more and more people were starting to be more interested, but I think what speaks to more in terms of the number of albums being released is more of to the access of music for musicians, for artists. They don't have to go to somebody to kind of get approval. They don't have to try and get the nod of somebody, their co-sign or whatever. I mean, I'm not speaking for artists because I'm not one. However, I am one if you think of DJ as an artist. But of course, when I look back on the DJ videos and, how the old school used to work, DJs had to go to another DJ to be put on, or they have to find somebody that would give them a chance. And one of the ways was they would have to work on their skill, their craft, all of those things, and before they could even get a nod of approval. This same thing I believe happened to artists. They had to do the same thing just to get the credibility of the block. They had to pretty much work at this and get their skills up, get their bars up, all those things, get their approval of the block before they can even think of putting them, releasing anything, But this seemed to have died down a lot. I can take a stab at it because of social media, SoundCloud. All these things are great. They were invented to bring us closer, to make life better, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have its drawbacks. And this is clearly one of its drawbacks, because to me, music is becoming a bit uninteresting now. I would say there is a massive decline in the satisfaction that you hear when you get music. I mean, if any, because everything just seems for the moment, in my honest opinion. So let me not even go into buying physical copies anymore, or buying LPs or anything like that. that might be that might be something that is very rare for people to do nowadays. But even with that being said, there are a select few that still love their music, that value the art. I'm not saying that people that are on Spotify or on the streaming websites, they don't value music or anything like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that a lot of the music that's being pushed out nowadays, the golden stuff, might be swept under the rug. It's kind of why I wanted to do reviews in the first place, to kind of bring you 3 to 4 albums in a month, and pretty much that are those albums are the albums that I have thought, yeah, this is golden. I think people need to hear this, and for whatever reason, they need to hear it. That's pretty much the preface to this review and this kind of roundup. So 23 albums in a month. Wow. So so this month I reviewed Logic, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Ego by Tyler the Creator, reviewed Ignorance is Bliss by Skepta, and I also reviewed, I believe it was Laurel Connor, Not Waving But Drowning. So those are the albums I reviewed this month. I really had a lot of fun reviewing them. I had a lot of fun listening to them. I was really impressed by the artistry that's gone into those albums. You can find them all out. I've compiled a playlist, so you can just press on the information card on your screen. On top of that, the albums I wish I did review, it was quite a few albums that I was like, ooh, it was a tight call for most of these albums, simply because of the fact that there was 4, like I had to pick 4 albums, or 3 of the 4 albums. So a lot of albums were gonna fall under the cracks. In my opinion, I made a big mistake in not reviewing Denzel Curry's album Zoo. This album is possibly Denzel Curry's. When I look at it, I would easily replace Logic's review with this review, simply because of the fact that Logic's album review was extremely subjective. It was only because of the fact that Logic, I grew up listening, I really followed this guy, and I wasn't happy with the direction it was going. So I think I could have saved this for this type of review. I could have saved it for that, but I really hated not reviewing that album first, So yeah, with all things considered, I really wished I reviewed Denzel Curry's album Zoo. I love the messages in the album. I love the aggression. I loved how he delivered these messages. I especially love the cadence. There's so much I can go into the album that I could go in depth. In fact, this is another album that I finished completely without stopping or skipping any tracks, which is why I have so much regret on not really reviewing the album, because every time I just look at it, I'm like, I wish I did review that. Another album that I wish I reviewed was Megan Thee Stallion, Fever. I mean, this one wasn't like Denzel Curry, but I still would have, if Denzel Curry didn't release any album, I would have still replaced this one with Logic's album review, simply because of the fact that Megan Thee Stallion, yes, the only thing that really, this one was more objective, because the only thing that really stopped me from not reviewing this album was because it was so one-dimensional, in my opinion. It was just one specific topic. I understand, and I loved her perspective on the hedonistic side of hip-hop, where a lot of people just living for their pleasures, doing all that. I love that. But when I compare her to our female counterparts that are in that side, as well as male counterparts that are doing that kind of side, they do have a variety of music that you can pick from in an album. This is why I didn't really enjoy Megan's. I can't say I didn't enjoy Megan's album, because I did actually enjoy Megan's album. It's just I was looking for a bit more than just talking about the same topic over and over again. It's the same problem that I had with Rick Ross. On his later albums after Teflon Don, when on Teflon Don, you had everything. He wasn't just talking about the drug game. He was talking about, that luxury life kind of rap. He brought you different stories, and you can hear it from different kind of angles, different type of, there was variety in there that you can pick from. But when you now listen to his newer albums and his other mixtapes, you don't get this. It's more just one-dimensional drug. I think the last time that we heard a variety from Rick Ross was Lord Forgives and I Don't. So, like, to me, that was when I was like, okay, cool. Rick Ross is, he's changed his game a little bit, but he doesn't mean it wasn't a quality album, in my opinion. So that's the same problem I had with Megan with her album Fever. I personally felt like she was solid on the project. I do not fault her in any way. I think she can go nowhere but up. The only thing I would say is I wish she could provide a lot more variety and just talking about sex all the time. Nothing wrong with talking about sex all the time. Nothing wrong with talking about pleasures all the time. And, but bring something else, because even Lil Kim, like, every time, even Lil Kim, when I look on the work that she done in the past, you had songs like Light Us Up, all those things. She talked about sex a lot, but she brought you more. Even the Jump Off, like, when I compare to those kind of singles, Megan is just sex. Another album I wish I reviewed was also YG's For Real, but I'm kind of happy I didn't, simply because of the fact that, YG is a great artist, don't get me wrong. He has, but he hasn't topped My Crazy Life album. I enjoyed For Real. I think a lot of people have had divided opinions on the album, but I personally have enjoyed the project. I personally think that it was an improvement from what YG has been putting out. But I just, again, compared to the albums that I have reviewed, I think YG was an easy discount. I think that was it. Father Shard was another one which I'm also glad I didn't review, because again, I don't know what I can replace it with. I would rather review Logic's album than that album. I did like Styles P's SP The Toast. I did like that album. I also did like East Oakland legend Filthy Rich, but it was too much of a run of the mill for me to review it. But I certainly enjoyed those albums, and I think these are honorable mentions of albums to listen to. I really hated Forever Heartless by Moneybagg Yo. I just did not have time for it. It was just annoying. There was no, like, again, not in the same of variety in terms of topics. I'm just talking in terms of instrumentals, or maybe I'm looking for something in the wrong box. I guess maybe I am, but in my opinion, I don't think you can work with an album which gives you just one blueprint. Like, you just trap. I don't like those albums. I want to be taken through a wide range of emotions, because that's what instrumentation can do. That's the power that instrumentals have, and the power that you have as a creator, as an artist, is to take someone on a journey through different ways, and that journey better have a range of emotions. Otherwise, it's wasted. And that's what I felt with Moneybagg Yo's album, and as well as Father Rashad. To me, like, Father Rashad, even though I wish I reviewed it, I really hated it. Again, as I said, I rather bash on Logic than DJ Khaled, because I actually grew up on Logic. I had not grew up as in from infant or whatever. It's just I got into Logic's music from the jump. So it was more interesting for me to review that and talk about that rather than DJ Khaled. The next album I'm going to be reviewing is, that's going to be out tomorrow, actually. It's going to be Bandana by Madlib and Freddie Gibbs. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to releasing that and giving you guys a dissection of that album and what they're talking about. So, yeah. Hope you've enjoyed this review. Thank you for sticking around to the end. If you have, don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you on tomorrow's review. Peace.